Hey all, it's Linda. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be looking over some palettes in my collection and letting you know whether or not if these palettes were released today, would I still purchase them? This video idea was started by Adali Mama Beauty here on YouTube. I'm going to link her channel, her video down below, and I'm also going to link my friend Heather Austin's video. She did this as a tag as well. I don't know if you'd call this a tag. That's what I'm going with here. But I have 8 palettes in front of me, and I'm going to let you know, like I said, if these palettes were released today, and some of these are old palettes. If they were released today, would I still purchase them? I think only one of these have I received in PR, but I wanted to include it here anyway. Most of these are older, but there is one, just one? Yeah, just one that is still fairly new, but I wanted to let you know anyway. But if this is your first time to my channel, hi, my name is Linda, and I'm a cruelty-free beauty YouTuber, and I always want to help you decide whether or not makeup, skincare, hair care is worth your money, whether it's luxury priced, drugstore priced. I just want you to spend your money wisely. Also, in 2022, I am doing my very first low buy year. So I'm trying to be really careful and cognizant about what I bring into my collection, making sure that if there's new stuff I bring in, I want it to be really, really, really special and not just be buying for the sake of buying. And on top of that, if I have something that I've been saving in my collection because maybe it's been discontinued or whatever and I just don't want to use it up, I'm trying to focus on using that stuff, using the good stuff. So if you're into that, as you're watching this video, I would love if you'd subscribe and become a part of the Rockstar fam. We are going to dig right into this pile. Now, I do want to say that I have gone through several declutters recently over the last year or so. So everything that is in my collection right now, I still enjoy. There is one thing here that is a little bit on the side here, but I still enjoy my collection. So if I say that I wouldn't repurchase it, this doesn't mean that I'm getting rid of it. It just means that I probably wouldn't purchase it if it came out today for one reason or another. And I'm going to go over that with you right now. You know what, let's start with this one. So this is this the oldest palette in my collection? I think it might be. This is the original OG Urban Decay Naked palette. I mean, you can see like this shade is gone. This shade has significant pan. This shade has pan. Like I have gone through this palette. To this day, it is still one of the palettes I use the most. So the question is, if this palette came out today, would I still purchase it? And guess what? The answer is no. I feel like I'm being blasphemous by saying that. But here's the thing. When this came out, this was kind of revolutionary. I'm not saying that there were not neutral palettes before this. I'm not saying that at all. But this one just kind of put it all together and made it so easy to create different looks with this, and it literally appealed to everyone, whether you were a bright eyeshadow lover or a neutral lover, whether you were someone that only does makeup when you go to weddings. This palette literally appealed to everyone, including me. I was desperate for this palette when it came out. I searched for this palette when it came out and I had to wait for it. But at the same time, I think that the quality of this palette, which is still good, and Urban Decay has improved their quality since then, this does not match up to some of my other neutral palettes now. Again, I do still use this and I will continue to use this, but I do think that the quality by 2022 standards is lacking a bit. So this is one that I would not repurchase again. Now let's go on the opposite end of the Naked palette spectrum. This one is the Colored Rain Vivid Pigments palette. I haven't talked about this in a minute, but this is just a 16 pan, all matte shades, all very bright rainbow shades. This is a bit of an older palette as well, and there have been plenty of rainbow palettes that have come out since this one. So the question remains, would I repurchase this if it came out today? And the answer is absolutely yes. I am always shocked when I don't hear more people talking about this palette. The quality of every single shade is amazing. These are so incredibly pigmented, and yes, it is all matte, and there is no white and black shade. But at the same time, the quality of these are so good that you won't have patchiness, that you're going to be opaque in like one swipe, that they blend together. It's just so damn good. If you don't have a rainbow palette, I highly always suggest this one, and it goes on sale every so often. It's really good. It's a little pricey, but I do absolutely think it's worth the money. I have dug into this so many times and I feel like it looks brand new. Well, certain shades look brand new. This shade Squad, I've gone into that shade a lot. I don't know if you can tell, but It's just really good quality. And again, if you don't have a rainbow palette, go for this one. I would absolutely repurchase. Let's go for an expensive one. Is this the most expensive palette I have in my collection? Yes, yes it is. So this is the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. I have talked about this many, many times on my channel, but this is just a warm-toned sunset dream. You can tell how much use this palette has gotten, how much use this palette has seen. Would I repurchase? 10,000% yes. 10,000% yes. Natasha Denona quality is some of my favorite quality that is out there. And yes, they are definitely on the pricier side, 100%. But I don't regret any of my Natasha Denona purchases for even a second because the quality is there for me. Not just the quality, this color story, it makes me feel funny in my pants, okay? It is just warm and beautiful, and I wasn't going to swatch a whole bunch of shadows, but like the metallics are just so shiny. I just really think that it's worth the money. This palette is $129, and I would still absolutely repurchase this in a heartbeat. If you like warm tone shadows, yes, this palette is absolutely amazing. Are there dupes of this kind of color story? Yes, we'll talk about that in a second. But again, the quality is there. So I do believe it makes the price worth it. I've used this palette so many times. There's still so much shadow in here. It's not going anywhere. So I would definitely repurchase. Now, you know how I said there were dupes kind of for the color story? Let's talk about this one. So this is the Colourpop Yes Please palette. And I think you'll notice it is very similar in color story. You have those warm tones, those reds, those oranges. You have those shimmers in orange and gold. Would I repurchase this? No, I wouldn't. When it comes to Colourpop, I'm just not as impressed with them as I used to be. And I think that is because I am trying hard to really like curate my collection. I do have a large eyeshadow palette collection, but I don't want to keep shadows in there that like I really have to work at. Or I'm like, oh, well, you know, this shade is patchy and this one is patchy and this one is patchy, but I'm going to keep the palette because these two shades are amazing. I really want to be thoughtful about what I'm keeping in my collection at this point. And with this did me well for a while, but once I got the Sunset palette, I was like, bye girl. Now, I will admit, this is one that I did dig out of my declutter bin for this video. I have decluttered this. I'm saving it because there's still so much shadow in here, and I think a friend would really enjoy this. But this is one that I would not repurchase. Here's one thing I will say, though. If you love the color story of this Sunset palette, if you love this color story, but this is out of your price range, which I completely understand, then I would absolutely go for, I can't do this, the Yes Please palette, because you can see the color story is very similar. But if you're willing to invest a little money, I suggest this one over this one. 4 down, 4 more to go. Okay, let's go with this one. This one seems to be quite controversial in the Makeup the Beauty YouTube community, okay, and in review sites. So this is the Melt Mary Jane palette. So this is on the other end of the spectrum. This is a very cool tone palette, okay? You've got some very intense shimmers. You've got cool tone browns. You do have some very light and very deep shades, which I think is nice. I know so many people that hate this palette. They feel like it was difficult to work with. They didn't feel like there was a wide enough range of looks you could do with this. I 100% disagree and would purchase this palette again in a second, especially knowing what I know now. I feel like this palette is so easy to work with and so easy to get multiple looks with. And for me personally, that's because these shimmers are such drastically different tones. So this one is just like a very bright white gold, if you will, and then you've got these like deep silvers. You've got this like graphite silver, and this one that has a slight purple tinge to it, and then you've got this like deep bronzy brown. You've got, I mean, I just really feel like there's a variety of looks in here that you can do, and to me the quality is great. I know a lot of people have said they hate the quality of this one. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. So if you're a cool tone lover, I think this is a fan-freaking-tastic palette. I don't understand why everyone hates it. I know a lot of people had trouble with it. Maybe there was inconsistency in the quality that I don't know about. Mine is personally great. I would absolutely repurchase this palette 100%. Let me know if you have Mary Jane. Let me know in your, if you have Mary Jane, let me know. Wow. And that's how Linda got demonetized. If you have this palette, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of it? Is the quality of yours good? Is the quality of yours really shite? Like, let me know. Let's go with another oldie but goodie. And I will say that this palette has been discontinued, but this is the So Jaded palette by Colourpop and Kathleen Lights. So it is absolutely beautiful. You've got 30 shades here, all in these yummy, yummy jewel tones. I think it's so beautiful. And this is obviously in my collection for a reason, because I really do think it's beautiful. Would I repurchase this if it came out now? I think the answer is no. And that is because I do not like these massive palettes anymore. These just don't do it for me. The size of this palette and just, you know, how much stuff is in here. I much more prefer a curated color story. Like, my sweet spot is probably between like 10 and 15 shadows, maybe 16 shadows, right around there. 30 though is just a little too much for me. And this takes up, like, yes, it's very thin, but this takes up so much space in my makeup drawer that that's kind of a turnoff for me. So these big palettes, just not my vibe anymore. How do you guys feel about big palettes? Because I know that some people prefer them because they like to have a lot of choices all in one palette. And obviously Colourpop is at a very affordable price point. I want to say I only paid a little over $30 for this when I got it on sale. So $30 for 30 shades, of course, that's an amazing price point. And the quality of this one is really good. I still enjoy it. But I just know myself, and I know that if I saw a 30-pan eyeshadow palette at this point in my makeup collecting world, I wouldn't repurchase it. Damn, that feels crappy to say. Okay, this one I am torn on. I had one answer, and then I switched it to the other answer, and then I switched it back, and I keep switching it in my head. So I'm going to open this, and we're going to look at it together, and I'm going to let you know what I think. But the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. So obviously Urban Decay has a ton of naked palettes. Everything ranging from like ultraviolet, which is like vibrant purple, nothing naked about it, to the original Naked palette, which was very, very neutral. You know, they've got a whole bunch of them. So this one is all just, again, those very, very warm tones, but this one is like fire, kind of. These are fiery tones. You know what? Would I repurchase this? I would not. I would not. And that's just because in my collection, I know that I think that I have shadows where I like the quality better than this. Again, I do, again, think that the quality of the Naked palettes has improved with every single one. I really do. But with this one, for me personally, there aren't enough color stories in this one because I feel like so many of the shades, like these two shades, look almost identical. Several of these shades, I mean, this one's even really close too. Like, there's too many shades that just look so similar to me in this. And these three shimmers, I don't feel like they're a drastic change at all. Like, look at those two. They look almost exactly the same. So I need more of a color story, I think. And this is still beautiful. Again, I'm still happy to have it in my collection. Would I repurchase if it came out today? I keep going back and forth, but I think at the end of the day, the answer is no. And for this last one, this is one of the newest palettes in my collection, and it is something I received in PR, but at the same time, I want to let you know if I would purchase it at this point. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the whole thing with PR, is that a lot of people will review PR palettes, and then they'll go, this is amazing, you need to buy it, just to stay on a PR list. I'm going to tell you the truth every time. I really am. But I do want to say, this is the Odins Eye and Angelica Nyqvist Hella palette. Would I repurchase this knowing, or would I purchase this in the first place knowing what I know now? Like 10 million% yes. 10 million% yes. When I saw this color story originally, I was so turned on by it. It is just my vibes, like these grungier tones up here with these very kind of like floral, earthy tones here, and these duochromes at the bottom that shift like 80 different ways. I really think that so much thought and love went into this palette that I would purchase this in a freaking heartbeat. The quality of Odins Eye, this is my very first Odins Eye palette, and I was blown away. This is just, oh my God, I just love it. The more I look at it, the more I love it. This shade Moss is like after my own heart. Do you see how dirty it is? It's so dirty. It's the dirtiest dirt that was ever dirt in a dirt palette, and I'm here for it. So that's it. This was a little short baby, and I really enjoyed doing this because it's kind of eye-opening to look at your collection and be like, if that came out today, would I repurchase it? And you saw that a bunch of those I wouldn't repurchase. Now, again, that doesn't mean I'm getting rid of them. That does mean I'm getting rid of that one Colourpop palette, the Yes Please. But other than that, I'm keeping these in my collection. until at least the next declutter. But would I repurchase it? For so many of these, no, because I feel like the quality maybe doesn't stand up, or the color story doesn't stand up. I don't know. Let me know down below. What is a palette that you own? Maybe one that you still love that you would not repurchase today. Tell me in the comments down below for sure. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love if you'd give it a thumbs up. That means a lot to me, and it helps out my channel so much. And also, everything is linked down below. If you want to purchase any of these palettes, those are affiliate links, and if you shop through them, that is such a nice way to support my channel and to support me, and it means so much to me. So you all can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Those are all GlitterFallout. And as always and forever, you are super freaking rock stars, and I love you so much with my whole heart. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.